Are you one of the customers that have one of these pieces of jewelry going to you?
Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed history.
How about this?
All right, folks, this video we're catching you up to speed on the Haas project. So as you can tell, like from the little intro or whatever, we're in the Haas project and we're at the finish line. So we made it to the finish line. This has been the toughest part of any of the different businesses, any of the different things that I've done. Like, this one has been the toughest because my education on it doesn't know. I don't know how to make parts in a CNC machine. I don't know how to make fab parts. Like, I mean, Bobby, he's a magician with fab stuff. And when you see those true artists of that, it's amazing. So to me, a CNC machine, get the right program in there, and then you make the stuff. So it's taken a long time to get here. And when I take you through the steps in the video and what we have invested in this whole thing, or at least what we're saying that we have invested, that is the investment, the true investment that it took to make that. What is not in the figure that I give you is that I had a guy on board here for a year working on everything and trying to get through the stuff. Those costs aren't in there. The custom software cost that was over 50 grand for custom software that we thought was a software that we needed, that's not in there. Literally the part when we take you through everything that is in there that's the real numbers. That's like, hey, if you want to start it up and then you actually know what you're doing and do it, those are the numbers that it took to get there. Because once the machine left here and went to Rob's shop, then you were dealing with a professional. You were dealing with Paulie that knew exactly what to do. He knew how to program everything. He knew how to make it all work. So literally all his time and effort and everything that was invested on their end was real figures, like real stuff of people that know what they're doing to develop a new platform for the market. So I'm going to tell you that there's another, I unfortunately don't want to know. There's certain things you ignore because you really don't want to know exactly what it cost you. But like those items that I just told you about and the changes to my building to accommodate the machine, like all of those things aren't in the number that we give you. Like what's in the number we give you is the cost of the machine, the cost of the tooling for the machine, and the time when it got to Rob's shop and Paulie took over doing it, who, I mean, as a programmer, I mean, that's big time dollars. So, and going through all the steps, because what we started with was real basic. Like for the most part, we're measuring off an existing block that somebody else made to then come up with design stuff for it. So, watch, check it out. There's going to be a little, call it a surprise there at the end with the way you could help with this process. And I don't know, but I can tell you, like, I really don't know what to say, but this is a long time coming with this video. So thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. I mean, at least you can help in that way. Thanks, guys. All right, Haas update. A lot of people have seen some of the old Haas stuff, and I don't even know when the last Haas video was, but they've been asking for updates. It's been there in the comments. We've got the Haas update. We've been holding off on the Haas update to get to a point. But a little over a year ago, the Haas machine at our shop and Jim working on it, things did not square up, things did not work right. So buddy Rob here said, I'm going to try and work through those problems to get the machine right, to figure it out, because I feel like that machine should be able to produce the end result that we're looking for.
Correct.
It got out here. It still had some issues, but Haas did come out here. They spent over a week out here with software, firmware, different stuff, and got the machine right. And Rob and Paul. So went through different test procedures with it to make sure it held accuracy, that it did do what it needed to do. And then it was on to finishing the design and everything of this SMX to be able to produce it in this machine, the one machine. So been a long process getting there, but this is block number 9 ready to come out of the machine. So block number 1 is actually in Steve's car currently. That block number 1 had some issues with CAD that we had dimensions that were not accurate on what they should be, but Steve was able to overcome that to get that block usable. It mostly just came down to lifters were drilled on the wrong angle. Correct. Is that correct? Yeah. So so that one's there. Block number 2 in the learning of heat treating process and how much material needs to come off, because these blocks start at 700 pounds.
Yep.
And this finished block weighs
just above 300.
So
just barely. You're taking 400 pounds of material off.
So it'd be a little under 300 then, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're taking about 400 pounds.
So rough cost on the amount of chips that have to come out here in the steps. And heat treat, well, actually you're a heat treat expert now. So
I'm not.
Tell me how heat treat penetrates, because it will only penetrate to a certain...
supposedly only penetrates on aluminum 4 inches from the surface to the core. And then it has to stay at that temperature for a certain duration of time to normalize, so it will change the molecules, and then it has to be quenched when the molecules have been in that state for a certain thing, and then they stay. So
so it's very technical in how that heat treat process happens. So now with the block number 1 was the one that was started and heat treated while it was still at my shop. And then block number 2 was the first one they cut and said, okay, well, with the 4-inch, with all this is how much material we should take off. And then the heat treat would do that. Well, when I got back from heat treat,
then we started to machine it, and what we realized, we put the cam bore all the way through, like what we had done, and then we realized that as we were doing other machining and we started doing a ton of removal on the bottom side, the bores started going out of round. So
now, was that because too much material was taken off before heat treat, or not enough material?
Not enough material.
Okay.
Not enough material. So the heat treat was penetrated in, but it still it didn't normalize or it didn't stress relieve what the other thing heat treat does for material, is relieve the stress within the material of when it's cast or however. So there was too much material left in it, and it left stress within the material. And as we were machining it out, it started stress relieving on its own, and that made our bores go out of round. So we learned from that one, we could not leave that amount of material on. So from that point on.
Yeah, and that's where with that, and I mean, I'm sure that there's some of you guys out there that are experts and do understand a lot of this stuff way better than we do. I mean,
yes.
So, so learning that process, and then they figured out with block number 3 that the right amount of material it was still a test to see if the right amount of material, but then, so everything has moved very slowly because first time doing it. So therefore, you don't want to cut a whole bunch of blocks and end up with a whole bunch of scrap. So at this point, block number 2 is still salvageable because it's only in the cam tunnel that if it gets like a roller cam or something like that set up.
To change the bore to a bigger bore for the cam. Because when we finish the cam bore, we finish it to finish dimension. We don't leave any for honing or anything else. When we bore it, when we machine it, it's machined to a finished dimension. So when it changed, the dimension, when it started going out of round, we have to bore it bigger to get a round dimension back.
And that's where like each one of the blocks has been a learning process with the way to machine it, the way to do it, and like, so unfortunately none of this happens very quickly. It's been a very long process to get to this point. But as each block, so block number 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yep.
7, were all solid blocks.
No,
so,
not 7, 3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4,
7,
5,
8, and 9 are water.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that is 4. So there's 4 solid blocks in there, 3, 4, 5, 6, and definitely easier to cut those because I mean all the water passages and stuff that Steve has designed in here, like the amount of holes, the amount of covers, like the amount to get something like this streetable to where it can be cooled on the street. There is a lot of technology involved in that, and for all that technology with a solid piece of aluminum, unlike cast where you can just build a mold and pour around it, like you have to figure out how to get bits and tooling into all those areas to make that happen when you're dealing with a solid piece. So especially because all these blocks have been made on this machine, like one machine done turnkey blocks,
Start to finish.
And just to go back to the house part, like since they straightened everything out, it's been, what's the technical term? Dead nuts accurate?
Yeah, it's
like it's a technical.
yeah, it's within their tolerance that they accept for any machine, which is within 2000s.
Which is less than a pubic hair.
Yes, by a long way.
There you go. So there you go. The tolerances have been there. So now everything rolled through, like after those solid blocks, and then rolled through into the water blocks. The heat treat process is straightened out to where
we have
it's what, 24 hours or something? Is that the heat treatment? How long?
No, well, we were turning them around in 2 days, but they take them up to 1100 degrees and soak them there for 7 hours. They have multiple probes throughout the block, so they know there's no, because you're within a couple hundred degrees of melting point of aluminum. So then they know that the molecules within the aluminum are going, it was explained to me, they go out to squares. They move from all over to go to a square, and then they have to stay there for a certain length of time, and then the block comes out and gets quenched right in water and has to come down to a certain temperature to lock that molecule structure.
But then it also has to hold it at that cool temperature.
Yeah, and then you have to go back and age it at another temperature that's lower for a longer period of time. It's age hardening for the aluminum. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot on this particular project.
Oh, and there's, yeah. I mean,
it's not too often you're dealing with a piece of aluminum with dimensions of this size.
Right.
So you don't usually start with dimensions of this size machining a chunk of aluminum.
Oh, and then it's also been certified to have been hardened too.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Like that's the other part of it. It's not just, this isn't just Rob putting a freaking hot tank in the shop here and like heating up the blocks and saying, "Yep, she's heat treated." Like literally, it is a professional service that you go to that does that, tests it, and verifies that it has gained the hardness required for what we're doing with it. So after you get done with block number 1, like I said, hardness has never been an issue or whatever with that one on the heat treat process. It was literally the cam bores were drilled on a different angle, or lifter holes, sorry, drilled on a different angle. Block number 2, learned about the heat treating process. So then 3 through number 9 here, been a slower process on just making sure everything was right and everything was perfect, that this is a superior product to anything out there. So I mean, it was basically, those solid blocks are 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, which I'll show you 7 and 8 are sitting over there. This is number 9, and I'm going to say I had the machine for a year. You've had it a year. So
Just over a
I
year.
mean, you're talking 2 years. You're talking with the tooling to get this done and with all the time and effort that went into all the design work of this, because this was literally pictures turned into an actual item, because none of the blocks that were made like this before had covers and were all drilled to basically be able to get to all the different water passages.
Correct.
So the first block, like the one in my car, is all these are welded. So there was a plate put on, it was just welded up and then remachined. So there's no access to this stuff to where now you can, it does make every part of it serviceable. So not for the faint of heart, because the position that we're at right now with it and where we are, Rob's actually wearing the shirt. So there's a limited availability of a shirt to celebrate that we finished this. And we don't know exact numbers, but we do know rough numbers are at least this
close.
number that is on the back of Rob's shirt. So we did it. It only cost $700,000 to get to block number 9 in the production cycle. But we can tell you that we are at the point that you can put a block of material in here, you can machine it to its rough dimensions, you can send it out to heat treat, you can bring it back and put it into the same machine, finish the block off, ready to be delivered to the customer, which in this case is Steve, for these blocks. So if someone, we did the groundwork. If someone did want to recreate a block of their own, we've proven now that you can do it in one machine, that you can make that happen. Haas helped us get there by fixing the problems. I will tell you, never buy the first machine. Like, it doesn't matter what they tell you. It doesn't, I don't care that they tell you it's a proven technology. I don't care what smoke they blow up your ass. They're lying. It's not proven till something is made out of it that is a saleable product to be done.
I agree.
So 2 years, this machine is a saleable product to make all this happen. And that's where we're at. So question is, are you one of the customers that have one of these pieces of jewelry going to you? I can tell you it's a superior product to anything else out there. It's at least on par with the best of the best.
Guaranteed.
And
Yep.
it was done in one machine, not 5 machines. So thanks for watching, guys. Hey, go grab a shirt. Like, we're in the hole.
Absolutely.
All right, here's blocks. Blocks number 7 and 8. We showed you number 9 in the machine there. So both water jacket blocks. All this stuff is 100% complete going out. So amazing, the beauty of these things. Long time to get here, but it's awesome. Awesome where they're at. So there you go.